Hey, welcome, Pat, podcast friends. And this episode, I think, is going to be truly a treat for you. This is a man that we just recently discovered, and I tell you a little bit about him, but then we're going to let him do almost all the talking on this. So, who we're talking about, and Victor, thank you so much for joining us today, because I tend to forget that after I read bios.
Well, absolutely. I appreciate the invite.
Okay.
Glad to do it.
Okay, this is Victor Prince. Victor hosts the YouTube channel Victor Prince Southern Keto, drawing on his background as a personal trainer, holistic health practitioner, and nutrition consultant. After a successful early career in fitness and wellness, Victor's health declined in a corporate world, causing significant weight gain and health issues until a medical crisis inspired him to reclaim his health through low-carb keto recipes. He has since lost over 75 pounds, reversed his conditions, and now shares delicious, healthy, Southern-inspired recipes on his YouTube channel. Victor's mission is to show viewers that real health starts with food, providing practical keto tips, live Q&As, and wellness content to help others achieve lasting wellness and enjoying the foods they love. So, Victor, thank you again so much for joining us with us today. And let's just kind of start off right from the very beginning. It says you're a holistic health practitioner. What does that mean, and how did you get into that?
Well, I got into it. My background initially, while I was in college, I started doing personal training, and so it's something I've always. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was kind of a skinny kid, and so this was around the time of like Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and all the action movies and stuff. I'm like, I want to be those guys. Well, didn't know I didn't have the bone structure for that, but that's where I started. And so I started working out in the house and things like that. And then I was also in a rock and roll band too, whole different story. But anyway, um, so then during college, I started personal training and ended up just doing that for a while. And so that's kind of how everything started. Well, then things happened, life happened, and so I ended up doing a few different things, but then I ended up being a manager in a Fortune 500 company. But all the while, my focus, my passion really was health, wellness, weight loss. We had a lot of, really great results with people when I was personal training, and it wasn't so much the people that were working out the hardest. It was really the people that were eating the most and kind of, or eating right the most, I would say.
Yeah.
Not eating the most. But, they tend to have more success than the people that came in, and thought that the gym was enough. And then as soon as they got home, it was, no holds barred.
Right.
So as I was working in that, I was going to school at the same time for holistic health. So I became a certified holistic health practitioner. I was doing online classes. Some of it was back in those days. A lot of it was write papers and mail it in, and so correspondence and online. This was early. Kind of watch videos.
Right.
And so I did all that, and then my intent was to get out of the corporate thing and open a wellness clinic. So that was my goal. I was buying equipment along the way and things like that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got to the point where I'm like, well, I'm doing so well in this corporate environment as far as money wise, like I really don't want to make this jump and do it. So I kind of put that on the wayside, and on the back burner, I guess you'd say, for a while. And it was always in the back of my mind, but then with the corporate world, you're not always eating the best foods. You've got salespeople bringing you in donuts every morning, and
Yep.
it's just it is not the environment for health. And
Right.
going out to the bars every night with all the people, taking people out, entertaining.
Yeah.
And so I became extremely, extremely sick, and I didn't really, I felt fine, but I started having some issues. So I went into the doctor. This has been 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess. And my blood pressure, my labs, everything was just off the charts. And, I've always tried different diets. I've always been kind of a guinea pig. I like to try things.
Yeah.
So if I started gaining a little weight, I tried vegan for a little while.
Yeah.
That's the worst my labs had ever been.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
Oh, I know a lot of people like that. It's like, oh.
But anyway, so then, after all that, I kept kind of going back and forth. And that visit to the doctor was kind of a wake-up call because my blood pressure was so high. The doctor's like, look, your blood work is absolutely horrible. I was back on the standard American diet by then. I wasn't even concerned with any of that. It was, it was entertaining, whining and dining and all that kind of stuff. And
was your glucose high? Did you have high A1C also?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming.
So yeah, everything was falling apart. I didn't even know it. And that's the reality. A lot of people don't know until it's too late. And the doctor's just like, hey, if you don't do something, you're not going to live much longer.
Right.
It's like your triglycerides, the highest my triglycerides were over 1,000.
Oh my gosh.
It was
horrible.
It's just horrible. And they always say, well, that just runs in the family.
Yeah, I know.
The reason it runs in the family is because we all ate the same.
That's exactly right.
My mom's was just 1,200 or so at one point. So
what is your triglyceride level now? Just out of curiosity.
The last time I checked, 70 something.
Isn't that crazy? 1,000 to 70.
Yeah.
Man, you must have been on some really good meds, huh?
And they wanted to, that was the thing, they put me on some drugs at one point and I felt so bad. I just quit taking everything.
Good.
But the wild thing is even after that, it still took me a few months to actually go back and change my ways. But I knew, and it was always in the back of my mind, like, I know how to do better. Right. I've learned all this stuff, and now I'm going back and relearning all the stuff over the last few years. And there's
a lot of new information out.
Yeah.
So is that why you decided to start your YouTube channel? Because you got out of the corporate world, you lost weight, started getting better, and thought, I need to teach people to do this, or?
Yep. Yeah. And I knew for me to succeed, I didn't want to give up. Now that, I grew up eating, Southern food and, all the processed foods and candy bars and all that. And,
sweet teas.
Yeah. Well, man, a lot of sweet tea. But it's one of those things where the reason I was never able to stick with anything other than when I was in the gym training every single day. All of us were kind of on the same program at that point. We would all eat together and it was a good, healthy environment. But I knew I wouldn't be able to stick with it long term unless I was still able to have some of the things that I enjoyed. But I wanted to make them, low carb because I knew that was the way.
Right.
With, whole ingredients, not processed junk, and just make them as healthy as I could. And I started just taking my grandmother's old recipes and kind of converting them over to low carb and keto, just doing the best I could to convert them.
So what was your thought process when you're saying, okay, I've got this and I need to convert that over to keto? But is there a certain process you look at? Do you pick one thing and say, okay, how can I do something similar to this, or how does that work?
And I think a lot of us recipe creators kind of look on the people that have done it in the past, and
right.
Take from them and then try to improve on that. And, what's a vegetable that I can replace potatoes with,
right.
Radishes is a great thing.
Really? I've heard of cauliflower. I've heard of cauliflower. I hadn't heard of radishes. I don't know.
There's so much cauliflower. There's plenty of cauliflower on keto if you want it.
Yeah.
But and that was another thing, just figuring out how to turn cauliflower rice and, to get that sulfury, smell and taste out of it, how to cook that right. And, just converting all those things. And we grew up, dessert was a part of lunch and dinner.
Right.
I didn't want to get, I knew, and I know a lot of people feel the same because I read all the comments and people, love desserts. And if you can make it healthier, when I first started, it wasn't keto necessarily. It was low carb, but I just wanted to make, healthier versions of standard American food.
Right.
And so I started the channel, and I said, well, I'm going to start doing some health coaching, do some food planning and things like that. And so I started my channel. It was called Your Best Body Blueprint. And that was the whole thing. And like, people were like, well, what the heck is that? Nobody's watching. And so I'm like, well, what is this really? What does this fall into? Well, it's keto and low carb.
Yeah.
And so that's where the Southern Keto came from, just to kind of fit into some group, because nobody knew who the heck I was, and
right.
you know what new standard American diet was. So
well, I like, because of your channel, because we come across a lot of people talking to us like, how can they give up pizza and pasta and their desserts? And I mean, your channel has so many fantastic recipes. I mean, you have everything. It seems like you have everything on there. And that's such a great resource to be able to tell people, because, we'll talk about, doing things like, giving up so many things. I mean, and that's such a bad way to say it, instead replace it with, replace pasta with squash, or with whatever other, all of the things now, cauliflower and all the things that there is out there now. And I think it's just a great way to help people gradually, if they want to stay that way, or if they need to do a little bit more. Like, I know on your channel, you do a lot of gut health. You talk a lot about that. And so maybe people need to get rid of more things, which, I mean, we're not talking about elimination diets, but, they do have to give up things, but then they can come back, to introduce some of these other foods that they really like in their life.
And just, we're whole food. We're not carnivore. We're not keto. We just eat just God-made food, real meat, real fruit, real vegetables, very little fruit, some vegetable, depending on what it is, but
your health,
but mostly animal products. But we'll still have things that grow on top of the ground. We'll still have our lettuce, tomato, things like that if we need to. But
and broccoli and cauliflower crust pizza.
I didn't want you to think I was carnivore or anything, and you were going to be scared to say something you wanted to say.
No, that's fine. Okay. There's a whole spectrum of things. I tend to think of carnivore more as an elimination diet if you really need some deep healing and things, as a short-term thing. My opinion. I just, for myself, I wouldn't be able to sustain it.
Right.
There's some good guy, Chris Cook in Nashville. He's he does some great carnivore recipes.
Yeah, he does.
So there's some good, some good people that make the recipes for that, but I just couldn't do it. So
right. Yeah. And we've done it like, in January, to do carnivore for the month. So we've done that. But for the most part, I mean, what is nice is a lot of times I don't have to, like, especially in the winter, I don't have to worry about buying certain vegetables and they're just going to go bad in my refrigerator, So it's like, we'll just have steak and eggs for dinner. I didn't think that was okay.
Or hamburger, sausage, or I mean, there's.
But eating seasonally, I know you talk a lot about that. We do too. So going to the farmer's market and, because we like the variety as well. So,
one thing I was wondering with the Southern, because I know they use a lot of fats and stuff. What do you use for fats, or do people freak out when they see you wanting to put butter and stuff on it, or is everybody kind of catching on to it now that people watch you?
Yeah, it seems the people that watch me are kind of on, so my favorite things are extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, bacon grease, a lot of bacon grease. But I made a version of Duke's mayonnaise because I'm a big fan of not using seed oils.
Right.
But Duke's mayonnaise is like God's mayonnaise. So the South. If you're not from the South, you don't know what you're from the South. Listen.
Yeah, we have never heard of it.
Refrigerator, you ain't Southern. So I had to make a version of that using avocado oil, and so that's like my go-to. I make that every week. Then I make a blue cheese dressing out of that, so I don't have to, to have any of the seed oils in there. Lard. I don't use lard a lot, but it's it's fine, real lard.
Tallow,
beef tallow, So
do you use coconut oil?
I do, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Those are the fruit oils that we tell everybody: the extra virgin olive oil, then the coconut oil, and the avocado oil. And then other than that, we say stick with
And the beef tallow and those.
Well, that's
Oh.
yeah, but that, I mean, as far as
Okay.
the plant-based
Oils,
oils,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. What do you
oil.
think about? Because I don't use it myself, but in my research, I think it's fine as the palm oil is not, the you know ethically sourced and the real palm oil,
Right.
kind of like the coconut oil.
Right, right. And I guess it's the same thing. Like you have to be careful, keep it where you store it and not keep it by the stove and stuff like that, like you do with the olive oil. Small glass bottles, dark, away from the. We used to do the exact opposite. We had a great big plastic bottle set right by the stove. We thought, whoa, we're doing everything wrong we could possibly do here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Hey, yeah.
I've never cooked with palm oil, so we've never even looked into it. What do you use it for?
Well, I don't really use it. Well, my wife makes soap and bath products, so she uses it in that. But I had looked into it as for safety, wise for some of her products, but a lot of people will use it for frying and basically the same uses as coconut oil. But I've never had it myself for food, but I know a lot of people do. So
yeah, I know one of the things that you were talking about, or when we saw your video that you had a live last night, and you were talking about yogurt and the benefits of yogurt and the William Davis's. I used to make it. I'm going to start doing it after watching your live. It's re-inspired me to get out my sous vide and make that yogurt.
And she did a great job. I mean, it tasted wonderful for that month.
Yeah.
And it's not even that it's hard. I mean, it's just keeping on top of it. And that's.
Yeah. And just planning ahead. Cause I always did the 36 hour,
Yeah.
I thought if fermenting it longer, we need to do it the 36 hours, cause you were talking about a 12-hour one. Is that right?
Yeah. So, so I've been messing around with this because I just launched a supplement company. And so one of the things I wanted to do was a probiotic. And so I've got to, one of the cool things about doing this, I got to talk to Dr. Davis a lot. And so I've learned a ton from him.
Yeah.
And awesome guy. And, so I learned a whole lot from him, especially that long fermentation and, just to totally colonize that yogurt and have, a therapeutic dose of probiotics.
Right.
You can take them. I mean, mine, this is my inner soil right here. So that's what I've been messing around with, what I was talking about on the video, because I've been doing a 12-hour for a lot of people that have just a regular yogurt maker, but want something that's got more probiotics than what you can buy in the grocery store.
Right.
Right.
So, we went through a couple different formulations of this, and this is what I ended up with, and it works great. But the 36-hour, I mean, it's just so powerful, how those, the colony forming units of the microbes just keep multiplying, and that sweet spot with that temperature. And it works the same with this as it does for the L-reuteri and the SIBO gut yogurt. So,
right. And for everybody listening, just in case you don't know, probiotics are, you're actually giving the bacteria. You're actually trying to replace the bacteria, because almost everything is from our gut flora. The microbes that are in our gut do so many wonderful things that we have to have. I mean, they're vital to life. If you didn't have them, we die. But probiotics, you're actually giving yourself the bacteria. And that's like if you've been on broad spectrum antibiotics or something like that, or just your gut's all messed up. So that's probiotics. Prebiotics means you're giving food, you're eating the type of food that the good bacteria need to live off of. So that's the difference between probiotic and prebiotic. And that's why we're talking about doing this for 36 hours, because the longer, and you're getting the microbes out of the air. That's what's important. You don't, like we said, if you look at in a store and they put yeast or something in it, that's a bypass. That means that's not the true healthy stuff. You want the natural bacteria that are in the air to colonize that, so you can colonize your gut. So anyway, I just want to put that in there real quick, because I've heard people are confused about what they know they're supposed to take a probiotic or something, but they don't really know why and what it is. So anyway, that's what it is.
Yeah, and the prebiotic sodas, that's junk. There's not enough prebiotic in those to do anything, but it's good marketing for them. So
it's so much is marketing everywhere, which we can go ahead and go to that. You said that you're starting your own line of supplements, and the things that you found out with marketing and supplements I'll just give you the soapbox, and you can just let her go.
Yeah, 'cause we learned a lot when we
Yeah,
learned
we did. We learned a lot listening to you, and it was. I think our people would like to hear it. What
Yeah,
did
I mean,
you wanna tell
it's
them?
a whole rabbit hole if you want to go down it there. Uh,
Go
but
for it.
yeah, the thing is, so there's a lot of things that, first of all, do you even need supplements? A lot of people ask that question,
Right.
and you know, you if it were 150 years ago, everything you needed was in the soil,
Mhm.
but with big farming and just the types of crops that are grown, there's so much less nutrition now in the soil that the vegetables grow in, or basically everything, the grass the cows are eating that translate over. I mean, there's
Right. So
there's a
explain
lot.
that. Explain that just a little bit, because like we've actually had Joel Salatin on here. I don't know if you know Joel, but
Oh,
big in
I don't know him, but yeah, I love his work. Yeah.
yeah, regenerative farming and everything. And so explain what you're saying about there's regenerative farming is one way you keep all the soil nourished, but what you're talking about is what they're actually doing and how it's the soil's so depleted. If you want to kind of go over that a little bit,
Yeah.
why
So
the soil depleted.
yeah. So several things. One, the way over many thousands of years. I mean, people were traveling around. The soils were great. They weren't planting the same thing in the soil every year. I talked about this last night with my dad. We used to, when I was going to school, there was a plot on one side of the road and a plot on the other. And he's like, "Well, I wonder what they're going to plant over there next year," because they knew he was a farmer growing up,
Mhm.
and they did the crop rotation so that you would have, so over the winter you'd plant a nitrogen fixing crop to bring some of the nitrogen back into the soil, and you would rotate so that it didn't deplete the soil as much. And it was just, they didn't know that, but but it worked. It was just a
Right.
trial and error thing over time that people were like, oh well, if you do this and then you plant this the next time, the soil is going to be better. And
Like they say clover. Clover pulls the nitrogen out and puts it back in the soil. Is that
yep,
one of the ones?
clover does. A lot of people, they'll do red clover fields to pull it in, but the big farms, they're planting the same thing over and over and over, and they're modifying the crops to where if you don't use a specific chemical on it, it's not going to grow right.
Right.
Or you're going to get cross pollination from your neighbor's farm, so you got to use our product to do this.
Right.
And so the soil is just depleted, and the modification of the vegetables to enhance the qualities that are the best. That's gone on for a long time, whether it's selective breeding or picking the that's naturally occurred over years. But
Right.
you pick the best tomato out of the bunch and you save the seeds from that one, and hopefully the next round will take on those traits. But
Right. That's the good way to do it.
that's the good way to do it. But they can also do it in the lab. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's not good. But yeah, so yeah, there was a study done. I'm going to pull up my notes here. It was University of Texas did a study of 43 different crops from 1950 to 1999. Calcium was down 16%, iron was down 15%, vitamin C was down 20%, and a lot of nutrients were cut in half.
Isn't that
And that was,
crazy?
that was over 25 years ago. So
Right.
what's the soil like now?
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
love to see somebody do this study
Uh-huh.
to do it again now
Oh
versus
man.
1999.
Right.
Because I
And
think,
be careful who's funding it.
right, true. That's the truth.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the water was you could go and drink water out of a stream. You were getting all the minerals from the water.
Mhm.
Right.
You can't do that anymore.
Right.
You got to be way up in the mountains or Antarctica or somewhere to drink the or the natural springs.
Mhm.
Right.
And even some of those you need to test.
Right.
Um,
And this is like what he's talking about. That's why we say if you want to have fruits and vegetables, you really should go to a farmer's market. Buy them local. Know your farmer. Ask them how they do their crops. Do they keep planting the same thing over and over again, or do they rotate them around and let them grow? So these are things. So we're not saying you don't have to do anything, because that's what the big food manufacturers are doing. Just stay away from that stuff. I'm like, I would say there's three main food groups. There's the animal-based food, plant-based food, and then there's chemical-based food, which is all man-made food. Just so anything I say is like that. And the man-made food has nothing to do with this. But even that, you got to be careful of, like you're saying, the fruits and vegetables, because man does get in there and corrupt those very badly.
Sure. Yeah. And, and if you go to the farmer's market, I mean, the farmers are proud to tell you what they're doing, if they're doing it right. And most of them are, you can go, I mean, you can tell the difference in produce is grown organically and the right way versus the polished and pretty stuff you see in the grocery store.
Right. Real big, pretty looking. It's like,
yeah. Versus, the ugly tomatoes that actually taste the best and have the
that's right. Most nutrients. Yeah.
But yeah, though, and like my neighbor does chickens, and she raises chickens and does eggs. And when she doesn't sell out, I can get eggs from her.
Yeah.
But,
didn't you say something about that too? People are growing all these chickens, and then people come and renting the chickens from them. Was that you saying that?
Yeah. So yeah, Columbia Farms is a huge conglomerate. A lot of the local farmers here, and particularly in Northeast Georgia, huge chicken farms. They used to be, they used to have the name of the farm, the family farm there. Now it's Columbia Farms. Yeah. So they're renting these coops and these chicken houses and building more there on the land, and the family farm is going away, and they're letting the corporations come in, rent out the space, do what they want to do there in exchange for money, and it just it's really sad to see. Versus my neighbor that's got some coops in her backyard, and you see the chickens running around all day eating bugs and worms and getting the nutrition they're supposed to get. Versus these, the ones that are packed into these chicken houses, and
oh my gosh,
and the family farm just going away. And I don't know if I talked about this last night or not, but when I was a kid, we'd take field trips, and we had 20 something dairy farms around here. I'm in Northwest South Carolina, so a lot of farmland and things like that. And we have one dairy left now.
Oh man,
in our area, and it's a raw milk farm, which is cool.
That is cool.
But yeah, that's the only one left.
Man. Yeah, we lived in Charleston for a year.
Oh, okay. It's a great place.
Yeah, that's where I did my residency.
Yeah, a long time ago.
So I want you to get into, you started your own product. You got fed up with stuff. You started your own product. Tell us what product you did, how did you come about it, and all the things that you found out since you started this little adventure.
So for a long time, I mean, just being in the herbal community and kind of the holistic health, way back, we knew the importance of having what you say is in the product. So herbs were really bad. Herbs were, like you might have ashwagandha that is 10% ashwagandha and 90% filler, or even some of the, I mean, just so many stinging nettle might be 20% stinging nettle, and who knows what the rest is. Could be grass.
So what you're telling them is, if you go to the store and you're going to pull some of this off the shelf and it says it's ashwagandha in it, you can't believe that. There's nothing looks at it to say, oh, yep, you said they're ashwagandha and it's actually in there. There's no oversight.
There is zero oversight. The FDA does not regulate supplements, nutritional supplements whatsoever. That's why we have to have a warning on the bottom of every bottle. This not to diagnose, treat, or any condition. Do your own research.
Right.
A product can hit the shelves with zero. It's a self-regulated industry. So back then, there's a place called Gaia Herbs, which I got to kind of take a field trip to.
Yeah.
They're up in Brevard, North Carolina. One of the best brands out there. I mean, they go so far as to now there's a QR code on the bottle that you can scan, and it tells you when it was harvested, what field it was harvested in, what it is. They do third-party testing. Third-party testing is super, super important. But what I've found in my journeys on this, coming out with my own product, which I'll tell you in a second how that even started, but the third-party testing, they could do it one time and claim third-party testing on every other. So the first time it may have been legit, and then after that, they may be adding 90% filler.
And they could keep saying that same thing that's third-party tested.
And it was one time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there's so many criminal things that go on.
It really is. You know, and when I started, I was a small, I maybe had 20 or 20,000, 25,000 people maybe. And I had a supplement company approach me, and, you know, just my background in herbs and things like that. I knew a ton about supplements at the time, but, you know, I asked for their test results so I could look at it. They couldn't provide it.
The third-party testing, they had nothing.
The third-party testing, they had nothing on. And I'm like, well, how do you know what this is? Then you start diving deep into it. You find out. So a lot of things, if you walk into Vitamin Shop, I mean, Vitamin Shop's a great, you know, a healthy place, right? The manufacturers pay for product placement. They pay extra to be on the end cap. Vitamin Shop doesn't vet these products. They don't test them.
Right.
It's up to, because it's unregulated, it's up to the manufacturer to do this.
Right.
And so, you know, some of the worst offenders are the one that you see the most, because they're paying people to advertise. So it's in front of you all the time. If you look at a supplement, and I'm sure y'all know how your viewers know how the ads are. If you even talk about something, next thing you know, you pull up your phone, you go on Facebook, and bam, there's an ad.
Right.
And, you know, and you're thinking, oh, well, wow, this thing's twice the price of everything else, so it's got to be better, right? Well, no, it does not have to be better.
Exactly. You're paying for their marketing. It doesn't mean there's product. Still doesn't mean there's anything in the actual product.
Right. And so at that point, I'm like, well, you know, I'd love to do this eventually and just have my own brand, so that I know where it came from. I know it's third-party tested. I can talk to the manufacturers and see what's actually in the stuff. And so every batch that we do is third-party tested. So when you look on the bottom of the bottle and you see the SKU number,
right,
I can look it up, and I can, you know, email you over the third-party testing on that particular batch.
Right.
So that's something I really, really liked about Gaia Herbs, and that's something that I wanted to emulate in my company when I started it.
Yeah. Because didn't you say some of these other companies, they can batch test, they can do one test and then say that that's the same for all the stuff that they're making that day. And they say they did batch testing.
Yep.
It's crazy. So there's no telling what they have in there either.
I'm going to ask probably a silly question, but what is third party testing?
So it's not coming from me. It's not coming from the person that manufactures it. There's an independent company that takes it, lab tests it, and determines levels of heavy metals, determines the amount of what's actually in it as far as vitamins, minerals, herbs, and basically for purity, because there are a lot of companies from other parts of the world that had, I mean, high levels of lead, arsenic, cadmium, a lot of the heavy metals in there. And so you want an independent company to test it. So it's not the manufacturer saying, oh, well, you know, this is what we say, because they can do that.
Right.
Because who knows who the third party test could be? Their cousin that has no lab equipment.
It's really
exactly. That unregulated. I mean, it's crazy that goes on, but it does.
Yeah.
So like after we watched your video, we have this vitamin D, and we were reading, looked really good. And even in the corner, it said third party testing. Yeah. So how do we know that that's true? Do you just have
email the company?
Okay.
And say, hey, email me I'd like to see this, because I'm, you know, I mean, whatever reason,
Mhm.
you know, you may be allergic to one of the oils that they use to carry the vitamin D.
Mhm.
Right.
Vitamin D is, it's been the toughest thing because I want a vitamin D supplement because I think vitamin D is so important.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That has been the toughest thing that I've been able to find a pure form of.
This one's in coconut oil.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll
So-
find out. We'll let you know if this is reputable or not, because I will contact the company
Yeah.
and that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. That'd be good information.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If you email them, I mean, if you know, it's kind of like the farmers at the farmers market. If they are doing things the right way, they'll be proud to give it to you.
Mhm.
Right.
If not, you can get the runaround.
Right.
And that's exactly how you'll know.
See, and just so people know, also a lot of things we're talking about. Remember, these are when we're talking about these supplements, they're plant based usually, and just like we said, depending on what time of the year they grew, where in the world they grew, as far as how hot it is, how cold it is, what else did they grow there? I mean, there's so many things that go into this. You know, you can't just say we're going to cultivate these and put it in there, and everybody's going to have the same thing in these. I mean, it'd be almost impossible to have it be the same if you use the natural stuff.
Right.
And that goes where it goes back to just where they're growing these in the first place. A lot of places, it's not a good place to be growing anything, to be even, you know, they'll call it a supplement, but really you're probably still getting more toxins too. Glyphosate and all that stuff. They're not going to be able to keep that out of there.
Yeah,
But anyway, I
even
guess
with my brand, it's not, you know, they're not all whole foods based, because if it'll work right in your body, you know, I don't see anything wrong with doing it. But like a good example is magnesium oxide.
Mhm.
So magnesium oxide is the least absorbable form of magnesium that you can get. So about 4% is absorbed by your body if you take magnesium oxide. So if you look at a supplement and it says 100% RDA of magnesium and it's from magnesium oxide, you're getting 4%.
Yeah.
And magnesium oxide is in my multivitamin, but it's only 15%, and it's not for the reason of getting magnesium. There's a lot better ways to get magnesium than that.
Right.
I do a homemade electrolyte drink. I've actually got a new video coming out. I was talking to Dr. Davis, and there's the absolute best way to get magnesium. The magnesium's in here for pH control and to help all the other supplements. And once it hits the stomach, the pH is you know, ideal for the stomach. So magnesium oxide's in this, not for the magnesium,
Right.
but a lot of manufacturers will put in 100% RDA of magnesium, and it's magnesium oxide, and you're not getting that.
Right.
It's technically magnesium, but your body can't use it.
Right.
So that's
that would be good, because we take magnesium. We take magnesium every night. Supposed to help you sleep, and I think it does, because we've had good response. But I'd be very curious to see. So, are you going to have a magnesium supplement then? Is that going to be one of the supplements you've got?
No, because I think the best way that I found to do it is I'm gonna do the video on it, but it's a liquid. So basically, well, I'll just give you and your viewers the preview of it.
All right, there you go. There you go. Free charge.
So basically, you take milk of magnesia,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know, in your grocery store. You have to
Mm-hmm.
be real careful about this, because if you read the back of those, label reading is so important with everything you do, whether it's the food you eat, supplements you're taking, or anything else.
And even medications. Anybody on
Sure.
medication, you need to find out all the adverse effects of that drug, because I guarantee you're going to find anywhere from 10 to 70 adverse effects with every single drug. So be aware of what you're taking. It's not all health, you know, that the medical field tries to tell you it is. Anyway, that's a side note. Go on.
That's why the drug commercials are 10 seconds of fluff and, you know, 50 seconds of side effects.
Yeah.
And everybody's dancing around having a great time.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't even listen to what we're saying. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So
No,
we're talking about the magnesium liquid.
So yeah, milk of magnesia. It's in the traditionally in the old blue bottle.
Yeah.
But there's store brands too. The thing you got to make sure with that is some of them contain sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to watch out for that. It should just be the magnesium carbonate. Should be the only ingredient on there. You don't need anything else, and the real brand actually has that. But so the one I do, because I made a smaller dose, so I doubled what Dr. Davis does in his, because I wanted, if I'm doing 3 ounces of this before bed, I don't want to drink 4 ounces of water before bed. So take an unflavored seltzer. So if you're doing a 2-liter bottle of it, you'll put 6 tablespoons of that in. You pour a little bit out first, or, but I mean, it's crazy because, seltzer is carbonated.
Right.
When you dump that in and it turns to just a still water, I mean, you can, at that point, you shake it up, and it's the most absorbable form of magnesium that you can get.
And then how much of that do you drink?
So I do 2 ounces. I do it 3 times a day. You don't want to do it all at once. I can promise you, you'll have.
I was gonna say your stools. If you do it all at once, you might just do it while you're sitting on the stool.
Right. But say 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces midday, and then 3 ounces before bed, until your magnesium levels come up.
Well, that has to be so much less expensive than the vitamins. I mean, vitamins start getting really expensive.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what do we really need? It's like, well, magnesium. So I'm excited to try this.
Yeah. Magnesium and iodine are 2 things that we really don't get much of. So do you do something with iodine?
Yeah, I do. I use iodine. I do 2 drops of the Lugol's 2% in my electrolyte drink in the morning.
Okay.
And I really started that for my wife, but everybody's iodine. I mean, I eat real salt, Redmond salt, or
we do Redmonds.
There are some, there are some heavy metals in a lot of them, but
Redmonds isn't iodized though, is it?
No, it's not. So
I didn't think so.
Yeah. So pretty much everybody's going to be iodine deficient if you're doing that. So you really do need to add steroid and everything else. But
we do the Lugol's also.
Yeah. So
what exact products do you have?
So right now, and I've got other things coming out. Like I said, the magnesium, and I want to add to the difference in the glycinate and malate. It's just what the magnesium is mixed with. Glycine or there's different, or the oxide. Stay away from that. Citrate, stay away from that unless you have some constipation. I have and Primal Nutrition's the brand. It's primalnutrition.shop. So I've got a men's multi. I've got
what's that called?
It's called Vital Man. So like vitamin.
Yeah. I love it.
And then the probiotic that I'll be making the yogurt with, that video will be coming out next week. It's called Inner Soil.
Okay.
And then I have a women's, and the difference in these is of course vitamin level, but also the herbal blends that are in them. And I've got all the ingredients and everything's right on the website. So,
and we'll have that linked. We'll have it all linked down below.
Awesome. Thank you.
And that's Vital Woman.
That is Vital Woman.
Okay.
And then I have a grass-fed beef liver supplement. And so beef liver is like nature's multivitamin. I know if you do meat-based, you know how important liver is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if either one of you are like my wife, but if you
I
are,
am.
I love liver. But see, I grew up with it. I mean, that's just kind of
I did too.
Probably a Southern thing.
Yeah, we had liver. I like it. I like liver.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think I've tasted it. Well, now 3 times, and I puked first 2 times.
You know who James Berry is? That does pluck.
I've heard the name.
Chef Berry. Anyway, he was at Hack Your Health last year, and he was he was up in the cooking demonstration part and telling everybody he could make liver. We ate it.
Tastes
we had
good.
a tiny little piece that was
raw. It was all raw.
Yeah.
I mean, tiny, on the end of a toothpick, and I'd still. But he does organ meats in capsules too. But his isn't a capsule. It's seasonings. It just dry organ meats that you sprinkle on food.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's James Berry.
Yeah, but
anyway.
Yeah, mine was always fried growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, I mean, like I said, he grew up on a farm, so they ate every, the whole animal. And So he kind of turned me onto that. So I just grew up with it, and I didn't know any better. And then people were like, "How do you even eat that?" And I'm like, "Well, I love it, man.
I
onions."
wish.
Yeah.
Yep, I wish. I really wish I loved it because you're right. It is.
This
so
is for
good
you
There
then.
you go.
It is. Oh, and it will be. We'll be getting to some. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
As soon as we saw you said that, we looked at each other like, well, guess we're gonna have that on shelves now.
So yeah, this is like so basically, if you take this 4 capsules a day, you'll get 3 ounces in a week, which is about what everybody says is a good portion weekly.
Okay.
So
Okay.
microdosing is the, what I will call it, your microdosing
Okay.
liver.
Right. So what did you? How did you come up with your blend? I mean, did a company come to you and recommend something, or did you research or go to a company, or how did
Yeah,
that process go?
Yeah, it was a good question. Yeah, I started researching and going to companies, and kind of just said, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for, just a good basic multivitamin," and then they can kind of come and formulate things, like the herbal blends. That was what most of it was. So once you know that you got a good company to manufacture it, then and all the third party testing's real and you can verify it.
Right.
Then you can kind of tell them what you want. They'll formulate it for you. A couple of them were actually blends they'd already done. As far as the herbal blends. So yeah, you kind of go and there's kind of a baseline that you use. This is the kind of the gold standard of the blends of vitamins. And then you just kind of pick what you want to support as far as like men's health or women's health.
Right.
And of course,
do you know where they plant these? Do you know where these are grown, the crops and everything that they're using to make these? Are they grown right there, or do they get them in from other places?
No, they source them from different places.
Okay.
Like the beef liver, as most good beef liver supplements are, that's from New Zealand. But yeah, everything's manufactured in the United States, but they'll pull from different places. A lot of it is U.S. based. Some of it is from overseas, which is also why the third party testing is so important.
Right.
Because there's been, and you can look up some. It was a big Chinese supplement thing probably 4 or 5 years ago, where they tested a lot of the supplements that came in from overseas, and that's where they were finding the lead, the cadmium, high levels of mercury, just
zero levels of what they said was in there. They have much of that where there's none. Didn't you say that there's sometimes it'll say it on the outside of the bottle, and when they test it, it's not in there at all. It's not even small amounts. It just wasn't even in there.
Right.
But then I've heard other people say, well, yeah, but maybe getting it from overseas may be better because our soil is so horrible here now. But I guess it just goes back to where you're actually getting it, where the farms are. Because I know a lot of farmers care a lot about their land, and they do want it to be regenerative. And I admire them so much. I'm so glad we have those people here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And some of the, like in the multivitamins, some of it is lab manufactured, but it's things that your body can actually use, and take in and absorb, not like the magnesium oxide.
Right. Right.
And something else I've heard you talk about is a proprietary blend.
Yeah. Yes.
If they use that term.
Yeah. What does that mean?
A proprietary blend, that's basically the same thing as natural flavors in food. It's a way for the manufacturers to not have to tell you what's in it.
Because they can't pronounce all the chemicals.
Yeah. So it's a labeling law. They can say proprietary blend of supportive herbs,
good health,
whatever they want to say. And because it's proprietary, it's a trade secret, they don't have to disclose the ingredients. So this was a big thing in the nutrition world a year or so ago with natural flavors and the amount of maltodextrin in different products. So at first it was like, oh no, we don't have maltodextrin in it. And then it was like, oh, well, there is a tiny amount in it. And then it got to 100 times that when it was actually tested.
Right.
Third party testing.
And they put maltodextrin in everything. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and there's some good uses for maltodextrin. You know, like there's several things you can use to keep the life of a probiotic, you know, to where once it gets to you, the consumer, it's, you know, if it says 40 billion CFUs, there's die off. So you have to have something within the capsule that it can feed on, like you were
Yeah.
talking about the prebiotics.
Yeah.
So maltodextrin is a great use for that, but it's not enough to spike your blood sugar or, you know, anything like that. But that's one of the things you can use to do that. But
That's interesting.
the reason they use it in a lot of foods, especially particularly powders, is they have a liquid flavor, and they need a way to disperse that among all the different packs so that you have a uniform taste.
Mhm.
So they will use maltodextrin on that, and it's also a filler. So there's more, you know, like
Bulking agent.
yeah, it's a bulk, like they do with Splenda.
Mhm.
You know, even though it says sucralose on there, it's a very little sucralose, which I don't like, by the way.
Right.
But
Yeah. We don't
it's
either.
a little bit of sucralose and 98% maltodextrin.
Man.
But yeah, with the powders, they put it in there so they can disperse the liquid evenly. But you know, when you're having a teaspoon or two of that in an electrolyte, that's enough to spike somebody's blood sugar, and
Yep.
that's not what you want if you're fasting and trying to drink electrolytes to, you know, just kind of stay going, not break your fast or anything.
Right.
You know, the insulin response and all that. So yeah, it's but that isn't everything. It's in a lot of stuff.
So you use Relight also? Red.
I have, yeah.
Because that's the one that's one we use now. That's one we've liked. I mean, I knew about the stuff that happened with Element and all that.
Yep.
We've tasted that. We probably have some in the shelf, but
Yeah.
we stick to Relight now. Unless we hear something bad about that.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think you're coming out with a recipe, right, for electrolytes?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a new recipe with that magnesium that I was talking to you about.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I started with I think all this started because I'm cheap in a lot of ways.
We all are.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I'm like, well, man, that's how much, you know, I'm going to be drinking a couple of these electrolytes a day. What's it going to, so I kind of backed into how to do it myself.
Yeah.
And so I started with one recipe. Then when the whole element thing blew up, I'm like, well, I'm going to come out with one that's similar to that. So people don't want to buy this because of, I just thought it was just wrong. You know, I was working on my supplement thing at the time, and I like transparency. I think it's important.
Yeah.
And so then I came out with a second recipe that was like that. Well, now after talking to Dr. Davis, instead of using magnesium malate or glycinate in there, I'm going to be using this liquid that I was telling you about, pouring a little bit of that in there instead, because it's so much better absorbed by the body.
Yeah. Well,
So
can't wait.
So I'm excited about that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is on there because this you've been working on these supplements for a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It sounded like you've got so many other things, and your recipes. I know you got a lot of sweet recipes, which I know it's kind of a weird thing. People love as much as you say, please just stay away from the taste of sweet. People are hooked. They love it. So if you can take a sweet thing and turn it into a healthy thing,
better sweeteners, better sugar.
Yeah. Is that what you do? Do you use allulose? What do you use for your sweeteners in these desserts that you make? Because in all honesty, I haven't looked at any of those videos as far as
just me.
Because I don't.
It's better if you don't.
She does. She looks at it. She watches it.
But you know, for me, like I said, I mean, we grew up with. I mean, dessert was pretty much its own meal. So, you know, I knew that, and a lot of people are the same. They're like, man, I'm so glad. You know, the comments are just awesome. You know, I love when I see comments from people that like, I didn't think I would never be able to stick to keto or anything if it weren't for being able to have this. And I mean, that's, you know, as much crap as I get from people about, well, you're just, you know, fueling food addiction or whatever the case is.
Exactly. Yeah.
My thing is, you know, if it can help you stay healthy, and having something sweet is a good reward for you at the end of the day, I don't see a thing wrong with it. And I mean, it's helped me. It's helped my family, my, my daughter-in-law and son have started keto. They, it was all standard American. He's been out of the house for a while, but anyway, they both lost about 60 pounds now, and they both said, "Hey, if it weren't for the desserts, we wouldn't be able to do it."
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, for so many years, we were eating unhealthy stuff, and they got used to it, and I grew up used to it, and
we all did.
Yeah.
But even back then, I mean, just like you said, if you want a sweet at the end of the day or something, that's all we did. We didn't eat it all through the day we did have the cereal when we woke up. I still was the cereal kid back then. But so you start your day off with sugar, and that's not ever a good thing. But
yeah, your question about the sweeteners. So I make a blend. I make this myself too. But Magic Baker is a good one, even though it's from Splenda. It doesn't have maltodextrin in it, but it's a blend of erythritol, allulose, and stevia. And I know people have differing opinions about erythritol. I've looked at all the studies myself. I like to research things like that, and so I still feel good about eating it. But everybody do your own research on that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either.
So I make a blend of that myself too, because I was using so much and testing recipes and stuff. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go broke buying this Magic Baker. But yeah, this so Splenda Magic Baker if you want to buy it in the store. But it's a great blend. The thing about erythritol, you get a cooling effect even in the Magic Baker a little bit. And so I just kind of tweak my recipe a little bit, and a lot of people are like, wow, I don't get the cooling effect out of it. Just a cool taste in your mouth, and which is good for ice cream, but not so good for a lot of hot desserts.
That never even crossed my mind. I've never heard of the cooling effect from eating that.
I don't think we've had it, so there's that. And I would have never thought to have blended the 3 different ones to make something that you really like, because stevia can be pretty sweet.
Yeah, or on the other hand, some of them, depending on which one you get, you can almost be bitter if you use a little too much. And then the allulose is kind of, to me, the closest to sugar, but then again, it's not great for baking because it browns really fast. Where erythritol is really good for baking stuff. So just combining all those together, and then the little bit of stevia in there just kind of rounds it all out and makes it, in my opinion, the closest tasting thing to sugar. But I got the idea from Magic Baker's bag. I'm like, well, what are they blending together? I just started messing with the amounts of it until I got something that I like, and a lot of people love it. So
and the stuff with the allulose, I mean, we've heard a lot of good things. That, and it's not supposed to raise your insulin levels or anything. That's huge.
Yeah, and some studies are showing that it's lowering blood sugar, which is crazy. So,
that is crazy. Yeah.
So we need to do more research about that. It's still not. I got people all around the world that watch my channel, and so like, it's not, allulose is not legal in Canada, European Union. They can't get it, and I'm like, one lady told me she drives down to New York, buys a ton of it, and she smuggles it across the border.
Who's balking on allowing allulose there? I wonder.
Well, it's one of their laws that it has to be. I might be mistaking this for European Union, but if I remember correctly, somebody told me that it has to be in use for a certain number of years before they'll even look at it. In other parts of the world. So, since it's still relatively new as a sweetener here,
right?
Is it from a fig? Is that right? Allulose? I don't remember.
It's a rare sugar. I think figs. I think there's something else they can source it from too.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the research is pretty wild on it for being a sweetener.
Yeah.
If they can say anything about any of the other sweeteners about blood sugar,
really
passes right through, but
you're right, exactly.
So any of the sugar alcohols, if you see the package, again, talking about reading labels, if you see the package and it says it has erythritol in it, it might say 10 grams of carbs, but that's not absorbed by the body. So, it are not used in the same way. So you can subtract that out. But that's also where you run into the packaged keto products like the keto breads and stuff, where they just stuff a bunch of fiber in there and they say, well, you can subtract that out too. Well, it doesn't work the same in the body as like a whole packaged food like an avocado. Avocados are high in carbs. I watched a guy one day, it was fascinating. But he said, okay, well, and he was diabetic also, and he took 3 avocados. He's like, I'm going to eat these 3 avocados and just show you why you can use net carbs for whole foods. And I'm like, we'll see about this. You know? And but he taught. I mean, yeah, the blood sugar response was steady, but you know, there's a lot of guys online that'll do reviews with glucose testing and CGMs with a lot of the packaged keto breads and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, blood sugar spikes and all kind of stuff. Just doesn't work the same as when it's in the total package the way God made it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I say. If you're going to eat your fruits and vegetables, eat them. Don't drink them. Once you put them in a blender and spin that down and shred that fiber to nothing, you've kind of decreased some of the good things of it. Yep. So I know I've kept you a long time already. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to tell anybody about your product, something different that you have or anything? And how can they get a hold of you and get a hold of your product?
Yeah, absolutely. So the all of these are available now. I've got the website's out. It's primalnutrition.shop. So I can get that in there without it.
Okay.
Making it blurry. There we go. So I've got a code that I use for my viewers, and I'll give it to yours as well. So 10% off if you use code Southern Keto.
Okay.
I'm on YouTube. So Victor Prince, Southern Keto. You'll see my smiling face on just about all the videos.
Oh, with that, yeah, I was so excited to meet you. You're just pleasant to watch. You're just a down home nice guy. It seems like.
Well, thank you. A lot of people say I talk too much, but I mean,
no,
it is what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
When you have a passion, you tend to do that. I mean, that's what a passion means, and that's what I love. You've got the same passion I do, just trying to keep people healthy, get them healthy, keep them healthy, and let them enjoy life like it's supposed to be.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's right. So right now you have the 3 products. You have Vital Man, Vital Woman, and the liver.
The liver, and then this
the soil.
inner soil.
On the inner soil, that's right.
Is the probiotic.
Okay.
So
okay.
All right.
We're doing a video for that next week, and maybe out by the time your viewers see it.
Awesome.
On how to make a 12-hour yogurt with a yogurt maker or anything, no special equipment. And you know, that's the thing about the 36-hour. You got to have something that'll maintain that 100-degree temperature. So my favorite is the sous vide, but I figured out how to do it in a
we use sous vide.
Yeah. So, but I figured out how to do it in a regular Instant Pot with the yogurt setting. You have to use a little silicone thing, and I put that in my video.
Okay.
That was a lot of trial and error because I already had the Instant Pot, but I knew it was too hot, you know, with the metal liner. So started messing around with it. I used the little metal insert. That was too hot, but it was close. I'm like, well, I'll buy one of these little silicone inserts that they have, put it in there, and then put it in jars. So it's just kind of using the ambient temperature. 100 degrees. And it comes out perfect. So
awesome,
man. Yeah, quicker would be nice.
Not the same colonization. You won't have as much probiotics.
Right.
You know, just for a good yogurt, it's gonna have a ton more probiotics than what you can buy in the grocery store. It's perfect and quick.
Yep. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you. I really was totally surprised when you said yes, you'd be on my podcast, and I'm so glad you said yes, and I'm sure our listeners are going to be following you also now. And so, if that's
everything will be in the show notes.
Yep, everything. Yeah, we'll have everything in the show notes for everybody. We'll put your links in there and everything.
Well, listen, I appreciate you inviting me, and I mean we're on the same mission. As soon as I saw, you sent me the message and I looked at you. I'm like, we're on the same mission and trying to get people healthy. And I'm all in on that. So I appreciate what y'all are doing. And hopefully you'll be on one of my shows one day. Y'all will come on and we can do a live or a podcast on my YouTube channel.
We would absolutely love it.
Drugs.
Just let us know. Talk about drugs. Okay. Well, listeners, thank you once again for tuning in to us. And I really hope that you enjoyed this as much as we did, because we've learned a lot of information from listening to Victor. And we hope you have a great time today. Hope you have a great week. And as always, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life. Bye-bye.